Welcome to the LSL Podcast. I'm Derek McKenna and I'm joined as always by Andy McNulty. Andy, how is tricks?
All good, Derek. Thanks very much.
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, quite enough. Body's a little bit sore after the third game in 7 or 8 days. So, yeah, it's coming up thick and fast now.
Geez, you swear it was summertime. How are the fixtures piling up? Were they all first team games or just...
We had a refixtured Wayside game on Tuesday night, so look, it's good to get the games in. Yeah, I know.
Back to winning ways.
Oh, stop! Badly needed.
And then after that, you had another game as well this week, was it?
Yeah, we're Eden Derry then on Sunday as well. So look, as I said, it's good to get the games played. I suppose, look, we had such a period of time there when we had no games, and it was good to be back at home as well because we had issues with our pitch and weather, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a long time since, I think it was October or the end of October since we had played at home, so it felt like an eternity.
So, 2 good wins in a week. Do you feel they're back in the mix again?
Yeah, well, I don't normally look at the tables at this time of the season, but I did mention on the podcast last week that we won't be giving it up for too soon. So, we're not a million miles away, but we'll keep going. We keep plugging away, and we see what happens.
Yeah, and I think we've said this before. All it takes is a team to put together a run of 3 or 4 wins, and another couple of teams to drop points, and the structure of the table changes quite quickly. So we'll keep an interested eye on that over the next few weeks. So on today's episode number 8, I believe, with the usual roundup of the big games from the past weekend. There was some really big games, some cracking games to report on. We also have our preview of big games coming up this week, and there's loads to look forward to. Again, looking forward to getting out and watching a couple of those games this week. And we've also an interview with Stephen Kinch, presently of Kilnamanagh, but formerly of a number of clubs around the LSL. So we chatted with Stephen a little bit earlier on. And as well as that, Andy goes full on statto and gives us some interesting stats from around the LSL this season. But I think we should probably begin, Andy, by listening to the interview we did with Stephen earlier on. It was a good interview. So let's have a listen to that first, and then we'll come back in a few moments.
Stephen Kinch from Kilnamanagh, welcome to the LSL Podcast. Thanks for joining us this evening.
How's it going, Andy? All right, bud?
Yeah, good. Obviously, look, very seasoned campaigner across the Leinster Senior League. Tell me a bit about the teams who you've played for in the LSL, and, well, that's if you can remember them all.
Well, Jesus, Andy, it's gone. I started off about 15 years ago. I think it was Freya's Clover. I think my manager was Soupy Campbell at the time. That was my debut. I think I was only 15 or 16. I don't even think I was eligible to play. I was still playing schoolboy. Then I moved. Where did I move then? I think I went back actually schoolboy with Kilnamanagh, believe it or not. And then I was with Crumlin. I had a stint at Bosco, in Jakarta. Back to Crumlin, probably back to Bosco and back to Crumlin again, Andy. Who else now?
You know the league well.
Yeah, with the back of my hand. Like the back of my hand, yeah.
What's your fondest memories across the league?
Fondest memories. I'd say winning the senior Sunday division with Crumlin. I was in and out now, to be honest, but still it was a great memory, great achievement for myself. Some great players there at that time at Crumlin, like Buzz O'Rourke and Derek. Who else do I have? Who else good?
Yeah, it was good
Paul
squad that was together.
They were very good players. I learned a lot of the likes of Martin Kramer and players like that. I'd say that playing with the likes of Kramer and all is probably my fondest memories. What a player.
Yeah, excellent. No, and that was actually going to be one of the questions I was going to lead on to. Would you put him up there with one of the best you've played alongside?
100%. So even watching him in training, the stuff you learned on him in training. He's unbelievable. He was. Yeah, he's probably I'd say he's probably the best. I'd say that I played with. I've played with some good players over the years.
Who else, Stephen, would get an honourable mention there in the top players?
You'd have Buzzer, Jerry quality tourner game in his head. Who else? Have the likes of Craig Walsh. Reds Brady even last year. I was only there back at coming for half the season or something like that. But what a player! What an absolute unbelievable. Jake Donnelly of smashing players. Who some quality players.
Yeah,
There's still some quality players knocking around the league.
Brady's a top player. I can see him going and doing really well. If not in the league, elsewhere, he's a fantastic player.
Player Peter Hines at John Bosco. I mean, what an absolute unbelievable talent. I still think he could go back League of Ireland. I think he's 36. He's unbelievable. Don't know how one of the top teams have never come in and got him out there. Bosco,
And by way of manager, obviously, over the years, Stephen, you've probably played under quite a few managers. So, who would sort of rank up there with, the best coach or the best manager that you've probably worked under?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll probably get into trouble for answering this now. I'll tell me phone will ring a few times now. It's tough. It's tough. Soupy Campbell was unbelievable. I had Dave O'Hoyland, probably the best man manager I ever played under. Unbelievable in Chicago. I was with him at the Bosco as well. We won a few cups at the Bosco. Got us promoted. He's unbelievable man manager.
Look, we won't put you too much on the spot. But you're obviously with.
I'd have to go with Martin. I'd have to go with Martin for what he's done over the years and what he's won over the years.
Huge success through the years, yeah. You're obviously now with Kilnamanagh, and obviously, they've been soaring up through the leagues under the guidance of Keith Foy and his management team.
Yeah.
How have you been enjoying that sort of that part of the club now? There's obviously a lot of excitement around Kilnamanagh at the moment. So how's that been going for you?
Yeah, well, Foy, I want to wish him all the best. He hasn't been well the last couple of weeks, so he's been missing for a few weeks. But Foy he's a great lad. He knows the game inside out. I think he's done everything in the game. You don't go over to England and do what he's done. He's a top lad. Kilnamanagh now. Kilnamanagh, it's going to go places. They're going to go places. Some great signings for us. He's done some shrewd business. Very good players, good experience in the likes of Keith Quinn. He had a signing Conor Kenny, Gary McCabe. He's done well. Gav Kavanagh, he's done very well to do what he's done up there. I don't think anybody's seeing that coming, to be honest. Because I think 3 years ago, I was with Inchicore. Kilnamanagh was struggling, and I think it was 1B. And I don't think anybody would. I think he might have been bottom of the table when Pfizer took over. I think it was bottom of the table 1B. And now I'd be surprised if we don't go up this year, into the top league.
Yeah, going for 3 successive promotions. You're 3 points off the promotion places at the moment. Are you confident of catching the lads ahead of you?
I think we will. I think we've scored, I think, like 15 goals more than everyone else in the league, but we're also conceding a lot. But we're after getting Conor Kenny in now, and I think he'll shore us up a little bit at the back.
How many have you got yourself this season, Stephen? I know you've seen you on the score sheet a few times.
Yeah, I think I've 14 or 15.
Is that just league or is that cup as well?
Yeah, that's both. Yeah, that's both.
Both, yeah. And obviously, a big game at the weekend's just gone. Talk to us a little bit about that. What was the experience like Hill?
Yeah, it was a replay because we were up there 2 weeks ago. The mayor here, it was called off. Disaster. We went up. We stayed overnight on the Saturday, and it was called off then Sunday morning. So it was hard to get us all going again and get us all motivated to go back up there. A lot of lads had to leave their families on the Saturdays and Saturday and Sunday, the whole weekend 2 weeks ago. And so a lot of lads were. Didn't really want to go back up, to be honest. And I think the result we got was unbelievable for travelling up on the day and playing the day, because no matter what, like 4 hours on the bus, you get fatigued. Even if you're not driving, even if you're going to sleep on the bus, it takes a lot out of you to get off a bus then and play an hour later, But I think we done brilliant.
I believe there was a bit of a contentious decision, was there, with the sending off? A bit dubious, maybe, was it, or controversial?
Yeah, That was, Andy. But I tell you what, because I was on the bench, but I said it to the lads. I said, look, he gave him the opportunity. You're up and Donegal. You're not going to get the decisions. He come off the ground, but his knees, he sort of hit the ball with his knees. It wasn't a sending off, but you're giving him the opportunity up there to make the decision,
Yeah, Dublin teams tend to suffer the consequence of
Exactly.
those sort of decisions. So yeah, as you say, if you give them the decision, unfortunately,
That's it, yeah.
yeah. So
Matt, can I just
obviously,
ask what's the ruling there? I thought, maybe it's naivety to me, but I thought that if a game is called off, that it gets switched to
You
the
get
opposing
two.
team.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the intermediate, it's the only one you get two because it's FAI. I think you get two chances at it. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
That's the way
I think that is right. All right. There has been a couple of those incidents this year. So yeah, I believe that is the case. So obviously, you're bringing them back down to Kilnamanagh now in a couple of weeks' time. Are you looking forward to that game?
Oh yeah, I'll be looking forward to be starting again, Andy. I was dropped because I got sent off against Home Farm, so I was dropped. And the youngsters that came in done very well, and rightly so. He done well, so he started yesterday. He only come on, and I got the equaliser. So I'll be looking now to get back into the team and start next week and have a proper bash at him. To be honest, but I think we'll beat them down there. I really
Yeah,
do.
good stuff. And obviously, a couple of big league games in between then. So, like, obviously, have you anyone that you have in mind that you're coming up against shortly? Have you got your fixtures? Has there any
Well,
big games planned?
we Skerries on Sunday, and then we have them, and then we have Newton and Metro the following week, I think it is. So that's three massive games. Because Skerries are coming back into it a bit. They always do, when the GAA stops and they get players back in. They always come on strong in the second half of the season. So we have them on Sunday.
Yeah, so
We
it's a
won
big
a lot
month ahead for you.
Very big, very big. In terms of it's easy to take your eye off the ball when you're playing the Intermediate Cup. Everyone focuses, especially if it's the last 16, last day. People only focus on that. They want to stay fresh. But like the leagues are bread and butter. That's where you want to be doing the business. So at the end of all,
I think I think it's a huge achievement for the club itself. I think it's probably the furthest the club has ever gone in the competition. So it's great to have that buzz around the club. But I would assume that Keith and the club themselves would probably have promotion as their number one goal this year. Would that be the feeling amongst the players as well?
It is. Yeah, well, it is for the more senior players. I think the younger lads are sort of looking at the likes of the Intermediate Cup and all, but like as I said, the leagues are bread and butter, and the likes of it is, as you said, you touched on it there, Andy. It was the biggest game in the club's history. Like, and you've some unbelievable people up there, like Paddy Ennis and all. He looks after the pitch and all, absolute gentleman, salt of the earth and all. It's just great for them to be in the FAI Cup and all. So it's been a big year for Kilnamanagh so far,
Yes.
and we're only halfway through.
Yeah, good stuff. So you're expecting
And
a big crowd there. What date was that again, Stephen?
The 16th of February.
16th of February, so that's a huge game.
Yeah.
So obviously we'll give
massive.
that on next week's podcast as well. So any of the listeners, make sure you go up and support Kilnamanagh.
That's it, yeah. I think that the last team in Donegal left.
A question on the league this year, Stephen. Obviously, it's usually competitive, the division this year. The teams that you've played so far, who have you felt has been the strongest?
Who do we play that were very good? Obviously, you have the likes of Kilnamanagh and Sacred Heart. They were very strong. Peter Flood up there, he's a shrewd manager. He knows the league inside out. They're pretty strong. They were good. We played them. Home Farm were very good. They kept the ball very well. We've a lot of teams we haven't played yet. We haven't played Skerries yet. We haven't played Lucan yet. We haven't played. There's a few teams we haven't even played yet. So I'd say Home Farm and Clover would be the two standout teams that we played.
Yeah, there's still obviously a lot to play for. I think you're only halfway through the season, and as I said earlier, on 3 points off the promotion places. So a lot of big games to come.
It's the all cup finals now, Andy. You know yourself, they're all cup finals now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just one final question on the goal situation, Stephen. With 15 this season, what was your best ever season in the LSL? What can you remember?
I think my best ever was probably Bosch. I think I believe I played right wing because we had Peter Hines up front, and I wasn't good enough to play ahead of him. I was playing on the right wing. I think I got 28 on the right wing. But I've never scored less than 20 in a senior season in Leinster football. It's not bad. It'd come up to me. I think it'd be 16 years this year.
How old are you now, Hoppy?
31. I think I was 15. I was 15. I just gone to. We'll see.
I think Pfizer's going to sign you up on a 5-year contract, is he?
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, no, thanks very much for joining us this evening, Stephen, and really appreciate that. And I wish you all the best of luck in the league, and we'll be there. I'll be there anyway, supporting you on the intermediate game anyway. So best of luck, and thanks very much.
Same, Andy. Same to you. See you, Derek. Thanks for having me on, lads. Keep up the good work. See you later. Bye.
Okay, that was Stephen Kinch there. As I said, formerly of how many clubs did he mention there? There was Fairhouse Clover, Kilnamanagh at the moment, Crumlin, Bosco,
Bosco, yeah.
Who else was there? Was there another one there?
One or two others, yeah. I think he's probably forgotten about them. There's been that many.
Yeah, obviously having a great season this season again, 15 goals so far, and his goals helping Kilnamanagh to have a really good season. You'd have to fancy them, Andy, wouldn't you? In the to go up from the Senior 1B. I know, like we mentioned, it's a really competitive division, but when you look down through it, like of Fairhouse Clover, obviously Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover, probably the favourites up, Lucan as well, Home Farm, then Kilnamanagh and Fort, but just kind of sniffing at their tail. Then you've Lake Slip, Patsy Y, potentially Tullamore Town as well. So like it's a really competitive top half of that league. So would you fancy them to go up yourself? I know it's three to go up.
Yeah, I just think Hoppy actually mentioned it himself that once they don't have one eye on the intermediate and the cup competitions, I think as a player you need to focus on the league campaign as your first priority. It's nice to win cups, it's nice to be in cup finals, but when you've got a goal of promotion that Kilnamanagh have now, 3 successive promotions would be a fantastic achievement for the club, and they just need to make sure that they do not get kind of caught on the hop on their league campaigns because of their cup run. It's been a great.
Isn't it inevitable though, Andy? Like I anytime I'm looking at other clubs, if I'm putting myself in Kilbarrack's shoes at the moment, and we got knocked out of the intermediate cup early, and I'm looking at other clubs who are still kind of in our division in that cup, and I'm saying, that's great that they're having a cup run, but they're going to be wrecked at the end of the season. They've gotten their eyes off the ball in terms of the league. Well, you're hoping that's the case. So is it not kind of inevitable that the more cups that you're in, they kind of focus? Well, it's inevitable that you're going to pick up injuries, potentially suspensions as well. So is it more of a kind of a distraction? And I'm not being disrespectful here, but are Kilnamanagh going to win that intermediate cup? I don't know. Like there's still some tough teams in it. Like, so is it more of a distraction than the main focus being on the league?
Yeah, look, I have sort of a similar opinion on that. Look, don't get me wrong, success breeds success. If you're doing well in cup competitions, it really boosts you for your league competition, but you don't want to get distracted by it. I think you need to go in as a priority. You need to focus on the league, and you need to make sure that is your bread and butter. But saying that, there have been teams in the last few years, Maynooth, Liffey's, there are one or two others that I can't think of right now that have done really well in these competitions. So, Keith and his team and the players will say, look, we have one eye or a half an eye on this competition to keep going. It'll be tough. Like there's no easy games in that competition, but they need to really focus on the league. They'll have big games coming up before that intermediate cup. They need to make sure that they put themselves in the best position that they can for the league.
Sure. And like I said, I didn't mean to be disrespectful in saying will Kilnamanagh win that competition. Of course they could win it. They're very close to the last 8 now. Or they win this when they're in the last 8. Is that right? If they win the replay?
Yeah, I think once you get to the last 8, you start sort of planning out, some sort of tactics or some sort of path to the final. I know it's a very cliche thing to say one game at a time, but it's very hard not to. When you're in the quarterfinals, you kind of say, Jesus, there's only maybe 2 top teams left or such and such. You do kind of have an eye on a route to the final, but sometimes that can be a distraction. So you just need to make sure that Keith, don't get me wrong, will be drilling that into he's an experienced pro. He knows the game. So he'll be drilling that into the lads, but it's very, very hard. I'll tell you as a player, sometimes you do get drawn away by a cup final or a cup semi-final, especially if it's a big game. You know, we've had Crumlin, we've had big Moctus games over the last few years, and you kind of get slightly distracted from your league campaign. Sometimes it can be a good distraction, but other times it can go against you.
Yeah, and I think you could be right there in the sense that if you do go on that good cup run, it does breed confidence throughout the club as well, and that can help you kick on the league as well. But it'd be interesting to see. As things stand, I do fancy them to go up, because I think, like, if you just listen to the names that Stephen is listing off there, the likes of Gary McCabe and Kenna, who's Keith has brought in. Like, there's some real ex-League of Ireland quality in there, and probably players who probably could still be even playing in the League of Ireland level and probably should be playing at that level. So there's a lot of quality in the team, and obviously with Stephen's goals as well. He always has a knack of banging in plenty of goals each season. I think he said he's never got below 20, which is a phenomenal record. So I would fancy them to go up this season, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next weeks and couple of months.
Yeah, and just another thing, just to get well soon to Pfizer. He's one of the nicest men in football. He's one of the nicest men that I've ever met. And I wish you all the best, Pfizer. I've been texting you all week and making sure you're okay. But if you need anything, give us a shout, all right?
Sound. So Andy, we'll move off the Stephen interview now. I'm going to let you go full on statto, because I know you put a lot of work into this, and fair play to you. And there's some really interesting stats here, so I'll let you take the floor and give us the stats you've compiled.
Yeah, look, I don't know how it's going to go down, but I hope it's something for the listeners, and maybe it might trigger another conversation. And I was just having a look over the weekend, and a few things kind of jumped out at me. And I know we had mentioned before Christmas about the 100% record, and as it stands, there's actually only one team that still have a 100% record, and that's Woodhazel of the Premier Wood Saturday. So it's 13 games played, 78 goals scored, 10 conceded, averaging 6 goals a game. Now, obviously, way above that standard at the moment. I don't know if it's a newly formed team. I don't know much about them. I do have their manager lined up for an interview later on in the season for us, and I'm hoping they still have that 100% record by the time they get to us, because I know I've had some people cursing me about when we mentioned them just before Christmas that they went on and then got beaten the following week. So
the commentators, of course.
I hope I don't put the mockers on them for this weekend coming. So, look, yeah, that's unbelievable. It's a little special mention to our under-19s, which don't really get much of a mention. Crumlin United 19s are also unbeaten in their underage team as well. Though now they have only played 6 games, but impressive nonetheless. Another thing I went through were the goals per game ratio across the Leinster Senior League. There are 38 teams across all of the Leinster Senior divisions that are averaging 3 goals or more a game.
I'm not going to ask you to read out all 38.
No. Look, it's just something that, we say that we get great entertainment off the league, and I think that's probably a very evident stat to back that up. 3 goals a game in 38 teams across all divisions. It's something that, I think if you're going to the Leinster Senior League games, you're definitely getting entertained with goals anyway, I suppose goals against is the record that nobody wants, but the most goals conceded at the moment are 58 goals in 14 games. That's by Spartak Dynamo in the Division 3A Saturday.
What a name.
Brilliant name. Brilliant. I don't think I've ever seen them play. I don't think I've ever come across them in my time, but a brilliant name. One that jumps off the list every time you look at it anyway. Staying on goals against, the best defence. Now, I did narrow this down to teams that have played 10 or more games, and that's currently St. Moctus in Major 1 Saturday. So they're flying at the moment. They have 10 goals conceded. So yeah, they're flying at the moment, and I think they'll probably be promoted in that division this year. The most draws are goes to Leicester Celtic of the Major Sunday division.
How many have they got?
I think that was six draws for Leicester Celtic. Yeah, so look, it's not major, but it's just something that kind of stands out amongst all of the divisions. I think they had played 14 or 15 games and drawn 6 of them. So, you know, it's just something to maybe look out for.
Sometimes the
Would you like
draws
to?
are what lose you the league.
Yeah, well, this is it as well. We know more than anyone this year about it. And believe it or not, I've actually found this stat amazing, to be
It
perfectly
is
honest with you.
phenomenal.
6,769 goals have been scored across all Leinster Senior League divisions to date. Now, that I would have said would have been nowhere near that figure. And that was something that really sort of jumped out at me when I was putting these things together. I thought that was
You know what would
phenomenal.
be great to see? It would be great to see actually at the end of the season, and this is something you may keep in mind, to look at. I don't know whether this is possible or not, but it may be with the league and the results of the league tables, to look down and see what the average number of goals scored per season in the Leinster Senior League is. Now, obviously, we won't be able to look at that until probably May time, but over the last maybe 5 years, we could look at that and see how many goals are scored each year.
Yeah, that's something definitely we can look at, because like to be fair, it's a very small portion of those goals that we get to see from a neutral point of view, because there's a few that do the highlights packages on their social media and stuff like that. But to say that over 6,500 goals have already gone in this season is phenomenal, you know. And it's you know, I just, it's one of those stats that jumped out at me straight away, and I couldn't actually believe it that there was that many goals scored, to be honest with you.
On the topic of goals scored, it would be great to have the top goal scorers across the divisions, especially the top divisions, perhaps. I think it would probably be quite difficult to do it in every division, but I would love to see maybe the top 4 intermediate divisions where you'd have a kind of a running tally on who's the top goal scorer or the top Golden Gloves in each league. So maybe that's something we need to kind of have a word with the league on, or maybe if you are going to the next management meeting, if any club secretaries are listening, you may lobby the league yourself on that and ask, is it possible? I would imagine, Andy, that would require cooperation from referees to keep track of that.
Yeah. The referees and divisional secretaries, I'd say, are probably cursing you at the moment, Derek. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's something, especially in maybe if you could start it and trial it off in the intermediate levels and just see how it goes and kind of iron out any issues. I suppose it would be heavily reliant on the club secretaries, the referees, the divisional secretaries probably. So I don't know how logistically it would work, but I think it would be a nice thing you could do. Like I think if you could see the top 10 goal scorers across the divisions, or whatever way you work it out, or even per division, if that's the way it was doing, it would be a nice, just a nice little thing to have across the league, I think.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's definitely possible. They've done it in the AUL before. And again, I think it was the referees that would have been responsible for, look, if a goal goes in, the referee opens his notepad and writes down which numbers that they get in the goal, and you can kind of collate that against the match card. But it would be great to see, and I think the league is always moving in the right direction in terms of becoming more and more professional and trying to kind of move in the right direction and develop. And I think they would be very open to that, and especially giving it a trial, perhaps across maybe the top 2 divisions first of all, and then bringing in other divisions if possible, if it goes well. So, yeah, maybe we, as I said, we can keep chatting with the lads at the league around that and see what's possible for next season.
Yeah, 100%. I think, as I said, if you maybe even trialled it with one division, maybe the top Senior Sunday or something like that, where I have no doubt that it would have interest across the league. I do think people would tune in and click on those links for that information. I do think it would be beneficial, but you know, it's about how logistically it can be managed, I suppose. So yeah, look, I don't know. I'm sort of commenting in the dark on it. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's not too much difficult to sort of collate that information. But yeah, look, it's probably something that we can look at.
I think it'd be nice for the lads as well, if you think, even like looking back to Stephen Kinch there, like in the sense that I'm sure there's probably a couple of those seasons where he's banged in 20 plus goals that he probably would have got a golden boot for one of those divisions or whatever. Like, and it's nice for lads to walk away at the end of the year presentation, not just with a league medal, but also a golden boot or something like that as well. So,
well, you took the words out of my mouth there, Derek, because they obviously nominate the intermediate player of the year at the league awards at the end of the season every year, and that person goes up and collects the reward, and they get a standing ovation, and it's a great reception, in fairness. But it would be nice to have, as you say, maybe a golden glove or a golden boot, excuse me,
Yeah.
to present at that. I just think it's a nice thing, and like it'll only breed competition across the leagues, and therefore improve the quality. I would imagine, because if you have two strikers that are going neck and neck with 2 or 3 games to go, instead of taking the foot off the pace a small bit, they might go and look for those extra few goals.
Yeah, definitely, and like that type of thing can change the direction of league titles. If you have a player maybe in fifth spot in the league, but he's vying for top scorer in the league, and he's gonna, I won't say playing a nothing game at the end of the season, but he's playing a game that may affect somebody else getting promoted or someone else winning the league. And if he's nothing to play for, he may not be putting. He's always going to put effort in, but if there's something extra in the sense that he may win the golden boot, it adds that extra bit of intrigue to it, that he may put the extra little bit of effort to get the goals.
Yep, 100%. I agree.
So look, we'll see how it goes. As I said, it'd be a great thing to see from next year onwards. So that's your little kind of statto attack there. As fair play to you, as I said, it takes a bit of work to put together all of those stats. So fair play to you for pulling that together. And again, I'd say we'll revisit it maybe in a month or two again and see, have the likes of the lads from Ballymun, Woodhazel, are they still going at 100%, and Crumlin as well under 19s, are they still with the 100% record? It'd be interesting to look at in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep on top of that.
Perfect. We'd actually a few really, really, really good games to look forward to at the weekend. And it was one of those weekends where I don't generally, what's the way to put this? I enjoy going to Kilbarrack games every weekend because they're my club, and I kind of love going to those games. But this weekend, we had a friendly against St. Pat's Athletic, which, friendly games, you're not overly, you don't need to be there. And I was kind of a little bit gutted because there was so many other good games on that I wanted to see, such as Usher, Sheriff, you had St. Kevin's Verona, you had Liffey Wanderers, Clester Dunnicarg. There was a load in there. But the ones that stood out, I suppose, were the Usher and Sheriff. Like that, they're, from a junior football sense, two of the biggest sides in Dublin. Obviously, Sheriff with their history in the FAI Junior Cup over the last number of seasons, and Usher kind of coming back on the scene over the last few years. And then the big rivalry that they had in the AUL, they both obviously come to the Leinster Senior. So I had it all set up for a cracking game on Friday night. And Usher fairly dominated Sheriff by all accounts and beat them 3-0. Goals from Stephen Donnelly, who got 2, I believe, and Jordan Buckley got another. So huge results for Usher there. And into the quarterfinals now, I believe. Are we at quarterfinal stage? I think we are.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think we are. Last day. And then in the other kind of flagship competition, you had the 2 LSL Senior 1B sides playing a replay, St. Kevin's against Verona. You may recall, Andy, the first game was 2-2. I believe it finished 2-2 after extra time. So this one, again, the Verona had led twice actually through Christy Clark and Ben Bosey, either side of a Stephen Cantwell penalty, and then Luke Ingram scored a last-minute equaliser to send it into extra time. And I was actually looking at that when it went into extra time on Twitter. Fair play to St. Kevin's and others who were updating it using the LSL live score. And I seen it go 2-2, and then I hopped in the car to drive home after our own match. And by the time I got home, it was 7-2 to St. Kevin's in extra time. So 5 goals in extra time. The substitute, Yuki Saito, netted twice in 4 minutes to make a 4-2. Obviously, Luke Ingram ended up with a hat-trick after he got 2 more in extra time as well. And who else got one in there? Jordan Ferry, I think, got another one as well to finish it up at 7-2. So really, really good result there.
Yeah. It sounds like the late equaliser really deflated the Verona lads. Yeah, I've been there. It can be very demoralising when you think the game is up and the other team equalise, and then you have to go and play extra time. It's another half an hour of football. But obviously, the scoreline obviously, was reflecting at 7-2, and you're saying, Jesus, how has that happened in extra time? But once the first goal goes in, it might be a bit of unlucky, and then it snowballs from there,
Definitely. So fair play to St. Kevin's. Obviously fitness levels shown there as well. I think you're spot on the money there when you lose a last minute equaliser and the heads just go down a little bit, and then you get hit with 2 quick goals straight after the restart. It's just got all downhill from there. So commiserations to Verona, congratulations to St. Kevin's, and it'll be interesting to see how they get in the next round there.
Great for two 1B teams to be in at that stage of the competition. It's brilliant for the league.
Phenomenal, and of course St. Kevin's is their first season ever in intermediate football, so to be getting to the latter stages of the intermediate cup and guaranteed a spot in the FAI Senior Cup next year as well is great for the lads there, for sure.
Yeah.
Another huge result at the weekend, and these lads fully deserving of a massive shout out. Rush Athletic, so they're into the quarterfinals of the FAI Junior as well. An extra time win over Greencastle of Donegal. That finished 1-0, I believe, and Brian McAllister with the only goal there. So fair play to the lads. They're a major Sunday side, so they're into the quarter-final draw with fellow major Sunday sides, Usher, and then major 1 Sunday side, Oliver Bond, are still in there as well. So you've 3 LSL teams in the last 8. Huge apologies if there's any other LSL teams in there that I've missed. I was trying to look at the quarter final draw or what's left in it, and that they were the teams I could find. So I do apologise if I missed anyone, but it's great. After still have 3 teams in it after Crumlin and Tolka exited the competition this weekend. Athenroy, I think, beat Crumlin, and I think Castlebar beat Tolka. So good to have 3 sides left in there. The final stage of the competition. I'm looking else. What else was happening at the weekend? There was another big result. I think I'm missing, Andy. Am I?
Yeah, Liffey's and Kilnamanagh Donegal in the Intermediate Cup was another game that was there at the weekend, and that was a replay of the game. I think Liffey scored a late equaliser to make it 2-2 to bring it back to Rings End. So that game went ahead this weekend, and it was Kilnamanagh Donegal that progressed through a 2-1 victory. John Brophy and Mick Kelly putting Kilnamanagh 2-0 ahead at half time, and a late consolation from David Andrews. So obviously Kilnamanagh Donegal progressed through to the next round of that competition, and they're a strong enough team. I think they'll do well. They'll be a tough team for anybody in the next round.
Yeah, definitely. That was a massive game, like you say, after the first instalment of that, where Liffey's getting that late equaliser, and especially to go down to Liffey's as well, which is never easy to get down to Rings End and come away with results. So really, really big result there for Kilnamanagh Donegal, and obviously they're having a decent season in the league as well. So that's the kind of roundup from the weekend. There's always there's too many games for us to go through everything from the weekend. There's probably tons of games that we've missed. So we do apologise. If you want us to give you a shout out going forward for any big results you've had or something that's going on in the league, myself and Andy may miss things. So if you want us to give you a shout out, feel free to message us on Twitter, myself at Derek McKenna and Andy at the bear
underscore one. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, feel free to message us, either of us there, and we can give your team a shout out on any future podcasts as well. This coming week, Andy, we have a few cracking ones to look forward to as well, and I'm definitely going to try to get out to a few of these. The Friday night, I won't get out to, but a massive big game. Malahide United against St. Moctus out in Malahide in Gannon Park. That's a 7:45 kickoff. Bring your gloves, because it's always fairly cold out by the sea out in Malahide. But that game could have a burden on the destination of the league title, because they're both up the top end of the table, and both playing really, really good football at the moment. I know when we spoke to Garrett Caffrey, should I say, after getting his name wrong all last week, Garrett McCaffrey, when we spoke to him last week, he was mentioning that he was most impressed, or one of the most impressive sides he's seen was Malahide. So that's one to look
and I would
forward
second
to,
that, Derek. Yeah, I would second that. Fairness, any time I've seen them, especially at home, I've only seen them maybe 3 or 4 times this season, but over the last 3 to 4 seasons, they've been really progressing. They've been getting closer and closer to the top of the division, and They're rightly so there. They're there or thereabouts. That'll be a huge game. There's always the question mark about whether they step it up in the big games, and this will be a big test for their players on Friday night, because Mocktus are a tough test, and that's a huge game. Not to put too much pressure on them, but if they were to go and win in that game, it'll give them a massive boost for the remainder.
I'm just trying to look at the table now and see what would that do for the table if they did win. Actually, they go top of the table if they win on Friday night, because they're 1 point behind St. Mocktus on level games, played 13, both played 13. Mocktus are on 28 points, Malahide on 27. So it's a massive game.
There's still plenty of games to go, but it would breed a lot of confidence into the Malahide team. That's, I think, picking up big points against big teams, I think, will help them really believe that they have a chance.
Big time. So that's one definitely for the diary this weekend on the Friday night. It's probably the pick of the Friday night games as far as I can see. You also have a full round of round 2 fixtures in the Lumley O'Reilly Cup. I'm not going to go through all of those. The fixtures are available or will be available on the LSL website, so you can have a look at them there yourself. But there's some good fixtures in there. On Saturday then you've a big game of the LSA Junior Cup, St. Mocktus. I think it's St. Mocktus Major 1 Sunday team you were just talking about, Andy. I think that's the side playing the LSA.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And they have a home tie against North End United, North End United are obviously a top side with some really good players. Actually, John Lester is down playing for them now, who was with Sheriff for many years. And then you have the likes of Paulie Murphy, who's playing with Wexford. And there's so many good players down there. And their manager's a great man, John Godkin. He's a well-respected lad down there. And they always kind of bring a great travelling support with them as well. So that should be a good fixture there. 2 great clubs. And then Sunday, a couple of ones to look forward to on Sunday. What one would be your pick of the bunch there, Andy, of the 4 we've listed out for?
Do you know what? I'm going to go for Hearts, Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover and Home Farm. I think that's a big game in Sunday 1. I think it's first versus third, I believe. So Home Farm very, very good and have been putting in some really good performances this year, and Hearts obviously top of the table. So I think that's a big game. That'll probably, look, don't get me wrong, Crumlin may need to 2 good footballing sides. That'll be a good game as well on Sunday afternoon. But I just think Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover and Home Farm is probably going to be the pick of the bunch Sunday morning for me.
Yeah, if you're looking at the league table there, you can see that Home Farm have played a game less than Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover. So if they win, they're on 28 points at the moment. They win their game in hand. If they win this game, they're up to 31 points, and they still have a game in hand. If they win that one, they're up to 34 points. They would be 2 points behind Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover. So it's a massive game for Home Farm. In that context, they need to win this one and their game in hand to be within touching distance of Sacred Heart Fairhouse Clover. Like you mentioned, Crumlin Maynooth in the Intermediate Cup. Is that a replay as well, Aldi? First game finished draw.
I'm not 100% sure on that. Apologies, Derek. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't recall them playing already. But oh no, do you know what it was? It was called off. Crumlin's pitch was frozen, I think, 2 Sundays ago.
That's the one. So that'll be a huge game as well. Is that a repeat of the final?
No, I think they needed to beat Crumlin in the semis, wasn't it? Yeah.
Semi-finals. So big game there, and then obviously what else have we got in the Senior 1B as well? Lucan United against Patsy Y in the Senior 1. Sorry, not Senior 1B, Senior 1. You've Lucan United who are in 2nd, and Patsy Y down in 6th. And again, Patsy Y have games in hand over Lucan. So if Patsy Y want to kind of put themselves in position for the second half of the season, they need to be kind of picking up results against the teams above them. So that'll be a huge game for them. And then the last one I have listed here, Andy, is West Dublin Derby of Verona, who obviously coming off the back of that defeat to St. Kevin's, are at home on Sunday afternoon against Corduff FC. So both of those sides actually are at the wrong end of the Senior 1B table. So I'm just going to have a look at the table here now and see.
Yeah, I think it's probably it's a more important game. Yeah, it's a more important game for Corduff because they've played an awful lot of games. They've played
Yeah,
17
17.
games, so
Yeah.
it'll be a massive, massive game for them. Verona probably have a little bit more leeway in a sense that the result won't be as important. But I
Yeah.
would imagine that, Cardiff will have a lot to do if they were to get beat in this game.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of pride at stake there in that game as well, because like I said, with it being a West Dublin derby, and both teams will be going at it. So I'd say that'll always draw a big crowd. Those kind of games over in Verona always do have a good crowd there. So I think there's a great kind of bunch that we've just listed out. But again, there's tons of games on the Leinster Senior League across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. So it's up to you, obviously, to pick which ones you want to go to. But that's just myself and Andy picking out some of the ones that we felt potentially have good games written all over them. Finally, Andy, before we finish up, I know we were meaning to get to this last week, but time kind of cut us short. But we've the final transfer list in from the Leinster Senior League, and in total, we've had 428 completed transfers, which is fairly phenomenal when you think about it. I'm not going to list through them all because we tried that in the first week and it took us a long time to get through about 70 of them. So what I'm going to do, Andy, is most people will know we have a Facebook group, the LSL Podcast. So I'll put the full list of the transfers up in that group, so people, if they want to consult the full list, can go in there. But I know you took a bit of time, Andy, to go through some of the top transfers from Leinster Senior League clubs across to the League of Ireland. So
I just picked out a few that obviously left the league, because I think it's a good sort of story to tell of our league. Obviously, there's some big internal transfers done this window, especially. There's been a lot of sort of as I mentioned in the first week, there was a lot of sort of surprises, if you wish, from club to club within the Leinster Senior League. But I think it's a good news story to see the amount of people that have actually progressed into the League of Ireland and into the Airtricity League. So I'm just going to run down through a list of the names that have gone from the Leinster Senior League to Airtricity clubs. So you've Killian Phillips from Kilbarrack to Drogheda, Niall Barnes from Bluebell to Longford, Robbie McCourt from Talcott to Waterford. There's a number of signings from the Leinster Senior League to Athlone. I'm just going to name the players here. David Brooks from Cherry Orchard, Joe Carmody from UCD, Scott Delaney from Willow Park, Dean George from Talca Rovers, Aaron Miles from Glenville, Chris Reid from Cherry Orchard. So obviously Athlone, using the Leinster Senior League as a bit of a picking ground there. Now I don't know whether they're young fellas that have kind of used the league as a stopgap between the Airtricity League to just get a few minutes under the belt or whatnot, but it's still good to see Leinster Senior League teams being linked with clubs. Well, especially the first division teams, they're going to probably chances are to play a lot of games for the first division clubs, So one that actually stood out for me was two actually that went from Raheny. Now I'm not sure if people would be able to fill me in on this, but Adam Feeney and Jamie Barry have gone from Raheny United to Bowes and Dundalk respectively. So I'd be interested enough to hear a little bit more about them, if anyone can tell me about how those sort of transfers transpired. Because obviously two big clubs, that I wouldn't be familiar with Raheny now, so I do apologise if these two lads have been doing really well at that club. So if anyone can kind of enlighten me as to how they progressed, I'd be interested to know.
I think with those, Andy, as far as I'm aware, and I'm open to have my hand slapped on this one, but I think Raheny United only have an under-19s team in the Leinster Senior, their senior side, or back in the AOL. So I think those young lads are going to the under-19s teams of Bowes and Dundalk, and it could be the case that they've already been with those teams, will come back, played 3 months or so with
bit of a loan move.
Off season, bit of a loan move, and then gone back. Because I know the lad you mentioned from Kilbarrack gone to Drogheda, Killian Phillips, he was previously with Drogheda, come back for a couple of months to Kilbarrack, and then he's shooting back off again. So there's some of those players in there, not all of them. are coming from under 19 sides up to the Airtricity League under 19s as well.
Yeah, which I think touches on a conversation that we mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, where we were saying about the potential of linking up with Airtricity Leagues, Airtricity League teams, and that kind of that is a good evidence of seeing where it might work for you, you know. So obviously Raheny have benefited of maybe a 3-month spell where those two young fellas have gone in, hopefully done well, and now they're going back to their parent club, if you want to call them. So it can actually work in your favour if you do it properly.
Definitely. I'll pick up on the other ones there, Andy. So
Go ahead.
after you'd Luke McCullough also come from Cardiff to Bowes as well. You'd Adelaine Belmouth from Bangor to Bray. Actually, Bray Wanderers are at the signing the rake of players from the LSL as well. So you've I'll list them all out. You've Jake Ellis from Wayside, Omar Hassan from Bangor, Luke Ryan from Cabbalteely, Stephen Sweeney from Bangor, and Cormac Burke from Malahide. Oh, sorry, no, that's gone to Drogheda. So the other ones all went to Bray Wanderers. Cormac Burke is gone from Malahide to Drogheda. You have Janabi Amor gone from Lucan to Wexford. Actually, again, Wexford have signed a few. You've Malik Ben Ragoub from Bluebell to Wexford. Do you want to pronounce that name, Andy? You probably would have got it better than me.
No, I'll leave that one up to you.
No, nice one. I shouldn't have took over when I did. Andrew Farrell has gone from Newbridge to Wexford. You've Carl Fitzsimon's gone from Sheriff YC to Wexford. Jean-Pierre Frangoli, Ballymun United to Wexford. You've Carl Manahan from Greystones United to Wexford. And I'll let you take the last two, Andy.
Yeah, Daniel Tarchevsky and Aziz Yusuf from Wicklow Rovers and Lucan, respectively, got both gone to Wexford as well. So Brian O'Sullivan there, I know Brian well, he was a coach at Bluebell for a year or so, and he's taken the reins down at Wexford there. So, like, obviously he's using his Leinster Senior League contacts to sort of bulk his team up. And again, as I said, it's good for the exposure of the league that you are using it as a bit of a stepping stone or whatever it may be. If it's a benefit in both teams, I've absolutely no problem with it, you know.
Yeah, definitely, and I'd like to see more of that. As I said, I'd be a big advocate of more formal link-ups between teams in the LSL and the League of Ireland. I think it's something that would benefit both, so I'd love to see that going forward. We've covered a lot, Andy. I'm not sure where we are in the time this week, but we've covered a good bit. There's loads of games to get out and see this weekend, so I'd encourage people to get out and watch them. And if you're at a game, do let us know. Use the LSL live score hashtag. I'm trying to think, is there any shout outs? And again, I'm going to use the Kilbarrack United ones. We have a big book launch this Thursday night. If anybody wants to drop down 50-year history of Kilbarrack United, their 50th anniversary. Roddy Doyle will be there. He's 2 short stories in the book. Was there any other big shout outs, Andy?
No, look, again, we just sort of encourage people to let us know if there's anything that's coming up in their clubs, and we'll give them a shout out. But if you can engage with us through the LSL hashtag, or if you want to sort of message yourselves directly, that's no problem. We'll start doing a list of stuff together that's coming up.
Yeah, and even if people want to make suggestions for topics on the show, or if there's people you feel we should interview, people you'd like to hear from, do let us know. We're always open to suggestions, so we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good stuff.
All right, Andy. Thanks very much for your company again tonight. I'm actually stuck in a hotel room in London at the moment recording this show. Absolutely exhausted because I've been on the go since 4 a.m. this morning. So looking forward to getting this podcast out and heading to my bed straight away. So thanks for your company again, and I look forward to chatting to you again next week.
No problem. Have a good sleep. Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.